Hello everyone, it is Manoway here, and we are back with another video. As you can see by the image we have here, we are going to be ranking the paper jam tracks from the custom track jams. So this jam, it is a bit controversial because there's not really any particularly good tracks in this jam. Like, the winning track is generally, no offense to Brody La Boy, who made the winning track, Carts and Crafts, but that's generally considered to be the worst winning track. Yeah, so this is going to be kind of interesting to rank, so without further ado, let's get started. Alright, and for our 12th place track, we have Black Paper World by Luigi Story, originally placing last. So I do feel a bit bad placing this last, just because I know that Luigi Story had some technical difficulties involving textures. Like, the textures aren't in the sizes of powers of 2, which basically means they will look corrupt on console. It is fixed, because I did record on Dolphin, so it looks normal here. The track, it's plays okay. It has some issues though, and it's overall just, I think this is unfortunately the clear last placed for me at least. But it is still somewhat decent. I think it has potential if Luigi Story were to update it and update the visuals, because he has gotten a lot better lately. I actually helped him on a track recently, and it looked pretty nice. The model did, so yeah. Not really much else to say. That is going to do it for Black Paper World by Luigi Story. Alright, and for our 11th place track, we have Doodle Land by Potato Man 44, originally placing 10th. So, this track, I'm gonna be honest, I really don't like it. No offense to Potato Man, but I do not like, the visuals are way too bright. They don't look nice at all. The layout is very simple, and it's not too interesting to drive. Honestly, in terms of how interesting it is, Black Paper World is definitely more interesting in my opinion. This one does have less issues though. It's more just personal issues with the track. Like, I don't like the visuals. Whereas in Black Paper World, it's like the visuals have legitimate bugs and issues. Yeah, not really much else to say about this one. That's going to do it for Doodle Land by Potato Man 44. Alright, so for our 10th place track, we have Floating Paperweight by RZ. I think it's pronounced differently. I heard it was pronounced differently recently, but I don't remember how you're supposed to pronounce it, so we're just gonna call him RZ. This track originally placed 11th, so it's very clear that this is a joke track. It's basically bounce, but it has some road. Yeah, it's maybe a joke track, but it actually is kind of fun, and it looks pretty nice for being a joke track. Yeah, it's definitely one of the better joke tracks in jams, I'd say. But since it is a joke track, I obviously couldn't place it too high, because, I mean, that wouldn't be fair to the people who didn't make joke tracks. But yeah, not really much else to say about this one. A great joke track, and it's pretty fun. Alright, that is going to do it for Floating Paperweight by RZ. Alright, and for our 9th place track, we have Paper by Joey Mario Kart. This track originally tied for 8th. So, this track, it's pretty decent, I'd say. It looks nice. It's probably the most papery track in this jam, which is saying something, because, I mean, it is papery, but there's not really a ton of other papery tracks, if you know what I mean. It's overall just a very decent track. It is just a square, though, and it's clearly a joke. I mean, the name is Paper, so, yeah, I can't really place it that high. But I do have a lot of respect for Joey on this one, because I believe he said he created all the textures just from scratch, so that's pretty interesting. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it is just a square joke track, so can't really place it too high. Alright, that's going to do it for Paper by Joey Mario Kart. Alright, and for our 8th placing track, we have Paper Raceway by Alpha Mario X, originally tied for 8th with Paper. This track, it's obviously not as nice visually as the last one. I think the last one was definitely superior in terms of visuals and how interesting it is. However, this one isn't a joke, and it's not just a square, so I placed it higher. I'm not really sure how Paper fits in with this track. I don't know. It's an interesting track. It plays kind of interestingly. Some of the turns are kind of tight, but other than that, it plays pretty well. Yeah, not really much else to say about this one. Just a kind of an average, kind of forgettable track, which is why it's placing so low. Alright, that is going to do it for Paper Raceway by Alpha Mario X. Alright, so for our 7th place track, we have Drawn City by Oaken, originally placing 6th, where it tied with another track. So this track, it's just kind of weird. Like, Oaken is normally known for making phenomenal tracks. I mean, he has a lot of tracks, or not a lot in CTGP currently, but he does have one and a few that are accepted. And it was kind of out of nowhere with this one. I mean, I didn't even know he was in the server, at the time of this jam. It's just kind of visually bland, and it doesn't have a lot of decoration. In some turns, like that one is insanely tight, and I'm on the bullet bike for this one, and that has the best drift in the game, so that's, if I barely made that, that's saying something about that turn. Yeah, just it's a very average track. I think this is kind of the best placement it should get. Yeah, not really much else to say about this one. That is going to do it for Drawn City by Oaken. Alright, and for our 6th place track, we have Origami Thrash Arts by Warwick92XD, originally tying for 6th with Drawn City. So, this one, the reason it places above Drawn City is because it's more interesting, I think. Like Drawn City, it's visually bland, it doesn't have a lot going on. Whereas this one, it's like, it's kind of interesting. It doesn't look that great in points, and it's kind of, the texturing is pretty weird. But it does have some interesting visuals, and yeah, it's just kind of, it's probably, I'd say it's Warwick's best jam track. Yeah, it's just pretty decent. It has some nice Mario Mona Lisa, Pokemon Mona Lisa, just some interesting things, and that's why this one placed higher, just because it's more interesting to me than Drawn City. Yeah, so not really much else to say about this one. That is going to do it for Origami Thrash Arts by Warwick92XD. Alright, and for our 5th place track, we have The Origami Road by KHacker35000VR, better known as Kevin nowadays. This track originally placed 5th. So, this track, it looks pretty nice. I mean, it's kind of visually bland, but I mean, it looks better than some of the other ones that are placing higher. The main reason this place is so low is because it is not fun to drive at all. It's just, there's so many straightaways, and it's pretty much just the layout from SNES Mario Circuit 3, but flipped and simplified. It's just not that interesting to me, and the visuals, it doesn't scream paper to me at all. It you know, it doesn't seem very papery at all. Yeah, that is going to do it for the Origami Road by Kevin. Alright, for our 4th placing track, we have Phobia by Toxic Prime, originally placing 4th. So I originally had this track a bit higher just because of what I remembered it to be, but when I actually replayed the tracks, I decided to bump it down to 4th. For me, the visuals are way too bright. As you saw before, there's some issues where, yeah, you go into the lava if you're too close on the edges of the road. It's decent. I think if this other track wasn't as visually impressive, this one definitely would have placed higher in my rankings. It does feel like paper, but the theming is kind of weird, and yeah, I don't really know. Not really much else to say about this one. That is going to do it for Phobia by Toxic Prime. Alright, and for our 3rd place track, we have Paper Cars and Bicycles by Billy Noodles, originally placing 2nd. So I actually originally placed this track 4th, below Phobia. And that was mainly because of the layout and simplicity of the track. However, upon replaying it, I realized that it is pretty fun. It is a pretty fun track overall, and it does look pretty nice too. Yeah, not really much else to say as to why I placed it higher than the last one, but yeah, it's an interesting track. It has some unique animations. It was made in a pretty short amount of time, I think. Yeah, just overall, it's a pretty solid track, though I do think that the lack of decoration and the subpar layout does hinder it a bit, but I do still think it is a great track. Alright, that's going to do it for Paper Cars and Bicycles by Billy Noodles. Alright, and for our 2nd place track, we have Carts and Crafts by Bro de la Boy, originally placing 1st. So this track and our 1st place track are somewhat close in my opinion. This one probably has more unique theming, but it is very simple, and in my opinion it doesn't look that great. This one, it's pretty short as well compared to the other one. It's a solid track. I do think that there are a couple reasons why the other one is better, and that's mainly that the other one just plays more interestingly, and this one, it's like, I know a lot of people don't like Desktop Dash, but this one's like simpler, kind of like Walmart brand Desktop Dash. I think of it like that. It plays okay, but not that great. Yeah, not really much else to say about this one. That is going to do it for Carts and Crafts by Bro de la Boy. Alright, and for our winning track, we have Elemental Trail by me, originally placing 3rd. So I know this decision to put my own track at 1st might be a bit controversial. I know some people are probably, oh come on, you just put your own track 1st. That's kind of unfair, isn't it? Because obviously there's some bias there. But it's not just me who thinks this. There's other people who have said that they thought that this track should have won. This track is by no means a winning track in any other jam. This track, the only way it would win is if it was in this jam, because this jam doesn't have great tracks, unfortunately. So if you aren't aware, this track is based off the 4 powers of the Velementals from Paper Mario: The Origami King, which are Earth, Water, Fire, and Ice. And this was, I thought, a pretty interesting idea. I just really like the design. Is very interesting. It's
more unique than the last one, I think. It might not be as interesting in concept, but I do think it is more interesting, gameplay-wise, and just visually. Yeah, there's not really much else to say about this one. I just do think this one should have won, and is the rightful winner. Alright, that is going to do it for Elemental Trail by me. Alright, that is going to do it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and once again, as I always say, just because your track placed lower than you thought it should have, doesn't mean I have anything against you. Your track was still probably decent. I just thought other ones were better. That's really all it is. So, yeah, not really much else to say here. Stay tuned for the next one, and I will see you guys then. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.